Hi, welcome back to Good Morning Transfers. Right, Juventus are trying to sign Manchester United forward Jadon Sancho. Talks over personal terms, not thought to be a problem. It's thought to have taken place already, so that's all fine. Juventus trying to do a deal at the start of the window, but they couldn't meet the valuation. Dave, have we got to this point? So, yeah, we know that he's been reintegrated, but do you think it's better for Sancho to leave in this window?
I think at this point it's probably best for him and Manchester United, especially the fact that, you know, he went to Dortmund. You know, he had 14 appearances, 2 goals, but it's more of the impact that he had for the side. You know, he almost lifted the spirits, and he was a part of the guard that got them to the Champions League final. But then when he came back, you know, he had a decent pre-season, played in a few positions. But then the season starts, only plays 7 minutes in the Community Shield. Amad Diallo is obviously the clear favourite in that position. On the left-hand side, it's basically untouchable, because if it's not Rashford, it's Garnacho, who's proven that, you know, he's ready to start week in, week out. And for him, I think at this point in his career, he's going to want that game time. He's going to want to play a big part or just have the opportunity to prove himself. And I think in Ten Hag's system, he's never really got it going as much as he would have wanted to. And obviously, he'd still want to have a point to prove. But if there's a better team, i.e. Juventus, that makes sense, I think he would be keen on going.
We know that he could be on the move then. What about other outgoings?
It's been quite a long time, and I feel like we've been talking about Jadon Sancho quite a lot. We've got 7 days to go. He's still a Manchester United player. This all goes back to pretty much a year ago this week, when he made his final or last appearance in the Premier League, at least for Manchester United, against Nottingham Forest. And then there was the fallout when he was left out of the squad. I think it was for the Arsenal game. And there was a disagreement between Sancho, meant that he was out of the picture firmly. And then he went on loan, of course, to Borussia Dortmund in that January transfer window. I think, for all intents and purposes, you would say that move was a good one for him. He obviously played in the Champions League final. Back to Manchester United this summer. Question marks were, could Borussia Dortmund afford the fee? The answer was no. Back to United. And then we learned last month that he had pretty much buried the hatchet with the manager. And he was back in the plans for pre-season, played a bit of a part. Missed the opening weekend this year with, I think Erik ten Hag said it was an ear infection. And now we're talking about him again and possibly leaving the club with Serie A a possible destination.
On Alexander Isak's transfer saga, and Newcastle have made their move to sign a potential replacement. They've made a bid worth £70 million for RB Leipzig's Benjamin Šeško, but that is yet to be accepted as talks remain ongoing between the clubs. That includes an initial payment of £65.5 million. Newcastle have presented their vision to the Slovenian striker, and Šeško is considering his options, with Manchester United also interested and holding talks. The 22-year-old was left out of Leipzig's squad for Saturday's friendly against Atalanta amid the uncertainty over his future.
Matheus Cunha told Starman United have been advised to sign over Benjamin Šeško. Matheus Cunha, along with Manchester City's Rodri, is a big fan of the Brighton midfielder Rio Ferdinand, wants Manchester United to sign over striker Benjamin Šeško. Matheus Cunha has already given his seal of approval to a player Manchester United have been urged to sign. Rio Ferdinand has told United to drop their interest in Benjamin Šeško and focus on making a move for Brighton midfielder Carlos Baleba instead. United have already signed 2 high-quality forwards this summer, Cunha from Wolves and Brian Bumo from Brentford. With Rasmus Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee desperate to prove their worth following difficult starts to their Old Trafford careers, Ferdinand believes Rúben Amorim has enough forwards at his disposal and should prioritise strengthening his midfield instead. If United do switch their attention to a midfielder, there is one clear choice, according to Ferdinand, rising star Baleba, 21, who has been outstanding for Brighton since arriving from Lille in 2023. Baleba himself is aiming high, having been inspired by Ballon d'Or winner Rodri. Players of Rodri's ilk rarely win football's top individual prizes, but the Cameroonian has been told he can do the same by the Manchester City linchpin and Cunha, among others. He told The Sun in May, Declan Rice, Matheus Cunha, Joe Linton, they've all told me I've got it in me. I want to win the Ballon d'Or like Rodri. Matheus Cunha is a fan of Brighton midfielder Carlos Baleba. On his respect for Rodri, he added, I watched him, Rodri, during the Euros, and before his injury I played against him, and time I got the ball, he was right in front of me. It was my first game against Manchester City, and it was very difficult. He made it so hard to dribble or pass. That showed his class. His success has opened the door for midfielders like us to believe we can win the Ballon d'Or someday. United face competition from Newcastle for Benjamin Šeško. Would I get a number 9 I'm not sure about, who's a bit young, inexperienced, or would I get Baleba with Premier League experience and know what he can do here? I'm going Baleba, sorry. I'm going to go with Baleba. I think he'll have a huge impact on this squad, on this team. You free up a few people in that midfield area as well to have a little less responsibility defensively because I think he's all action. He can do it all. United have turned their attention to Šeško after deciding he was a more realistic option than Aston Villa's Ollie Watkins. Newcastle also want the Slovenian striker and there have been conflicting reports over the 22-year-old's preference. The Red Devils were initially thought to be his favoured destinations, but reports in Šeško's homeland now suggest he is leaning towards a move to Newcastle, who have rejected a £110 million bid from Liverpool for Alexander Isak.